Hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing pretty well. Now this is Unit 5, Class 5. So far you have taught the students about the numbers, then you have taught them addition, then you have taught them subtraction, then you have taught them multiplication. I hope they have perfectly learned all these basics of mathematics. Now if they have learned all those things, this class should be pretty much easier for all of the students. Now there are some issues that might come when you are teaching all these number related issues, especially the basic mathematics with the addition, then the subtraction, and then the multiplication. Now it's the use of basic numbers 0 to 9. That's what is the most important thing that you must make sure the students are learning. If there are some issues with this, that means the students are not being used to implement all these numbers like 0 to 9, that's going to be problem. Now if they have learned those things very easier, for example, if they can do the addition of 9 plus 7 or 6 plus 5, that means they have done it perfectly. Or if they could remember all this multiplication table from 1 to 10, do you remember, like 4 times 1 equals 4, 4 times 2 equals 8, and 4 times 10 equals 40. Now this is how they should learn it. You must make sure that if the multiplication was easier, then you come to the part of division. Yeah, it's dividing or division. Now let's just assume, what did we do in the multiplication? We wanted to have 3 cookies each, and we were 4 persons, and we wanted to know how many biscuits or cookies we would need in total. So the multiplication usually gave us the total number. Here in the division, we have the total. We want to find out the multiple here. Yeah, do you remember the name multiple? So here we basically want to find out the multiple. Now there could be some problem with finding this multiple, but if the students have done, or if you have understand the multiplication techniques, it should be pretty much easier for you. Now let's just look into the things. The very first thing of dividing is come from the idea of sharing. Yeah, we already know the sharing idea. Means I have some things, for example, I have 5 taka and I want to give it to my friends. For example, we are 3 friends and we want to just divide the 5 taka among us. This is called sharing. Look at this very first example in the lecture sheet. So we have 6 strawberries. How many strawberries? 6 strawberries. And we just want to divide it between you and Joe. For example, Joe could be another teacher in your group. Now if you want to divide it, then how many strawberries you each get? Means you have total. See, here you get the number total. From the multiplication, we wanted to find out the total. Now we are being given the total and we want to find out how many each of us is going to get. So we have total 6 strawberries and we're going to divide it equally among these 2 people. So how many it is going to get? It is going to get 6 divided by 2. Now here this is the sign of division. See, minus or subtraction sign, there are 2 dots above and below of it. This is the sign of division. So you do 6 divided by 2. Now how do you find this answer? We'll be coming to this later, but just remember the division is the idea of sharing. Now another thing, it could be like the grouping. Yes, for example, we have 15 bulbs. Yeah, and we want to put 3 bulbs in each flower pots. So how many bulbs we're going to put? We're going to put around 3 bulbs in each pot. So how many pots we're going to fill? So the total is here 15, And how many we are going to put in each pots? Flower pots actually they are. Now how many we are going to put here? We're going to put 3 in each pot. So how many pots we will be able to fill? Like 15 divides by 3. It should be equals to 5. Now if the student have learned the multiplication already, the multiplication tables already, they already know how to do it. Yeah, you are just going backwards. 5 times 3 equals 15 we have found out in the multiplication table. Here you are giving 5 and you are giving 15 and you are trying to find out 3 here, right? So how are you going to do it? There are some procedures, so I'm going to show it to you. Now before going into that, the division can be termed in different words. It could be said that the things that could be shared equally, this word shared equally usually mean the division. Now if say distribute into group, if we are saying that distribute into group, it's pointing towards the division. If we say between these people, we want to give it between these people. Between words usually refer to the term division. Now if we say into sets of, that means we are grouping here. It's also pointing towards the division. We also say split between, share between, distribute among. These are the words we can usually find out when we are referring to the division. Look at this example. We have 18 grapes to split between 6 children. Now how many grapes can each have? Now this question requires a division calculation that we can write down like this. How we can write down like this? 18, we need to divide 18 grapes. Yeah, so we want to divide it among how many people? We want to divide among 6 people, right? So what should be the answer? We should find out that we could distribute 3 grapes to each people. How we could do it? How did we get this answer? Remember the multiplication. How did we get 18 using 6 plus 6 plus 6? Or in other word, we could say 6 times 3 we get equal to 18. So how many 6s we needed? We needed around 1, 2, 3. So we needed 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, 6x. That is how we get the answer 3. This 3 comes from here. Or if you remember the multiplication or the multiplication table, we found out that 6 times 3 equals 18. Here our total is 18 and our divisor is 6. Now we need to go through the multiplication table of 6. Do you remember 6 times 1 equals 6, 6 times 2 equals 12 and 6 times 3 equals 18. So the answer is 18 here. Go to the next example. The next example is showing that 20 divides by 5. See, here you are getting 20 divides by 5. So what should be the answer? The answer is 4. Like we are dividing 20 and the divisor is 5. Now what multiplication table you are going to use? You are going to use the multiplication table of 5. Do you remember 5 times 1 equals 5, 5 times 2 equals 10, 5 times 3 equals 15 and 5 times 4 equals 20. So 5 times 4 equals 20. What is our answer then? we have 5, we have 20. Is the divisor 5, so we will be using the multiplication table of 5. The answer is 4. That's how we get this answer. This is how you get the answer 20, or that means 4 multiplied by 5 or 5 multiplied by 4, we get 20. Here we are given 5, that's why we get the answer 4. This is how you usually find out the multiplication table. Now go to the next example. This example is saying that there are 12 biscuits, and if 3 people divide them evenly, how many biscuits one person will get? That means we have how many? We have 12 biscuits, and we are dividing these 12 biscuits among how many people? 3 people. Look, here the divisor is 3. So we are going to use the multiplication table of 3. The basic thumb rule, whatever is the divisor, you use the multiplication table of that divisor. Now to get the total number here, 12. Now using the 3, we can get 3 times 1 equals 3, 3 times 2 equals 6, 3 times 3 equals 9, 3 times 4 equals 12. So we are using the multiplication table of 3 until we get this total number 12. Once we get it, that should be the answer. To get there, we needed 4. So the answer here is 4. That means each people can have 4 biscuits. If you give 12 biscuits among 3 people, you can give 4 biscuits to each people. This is how you should literally explain to the students that if you are doing the division, you follow this method. 12 division or divides 3 equal 4. This is the narrative term, and this is the sign of division. The inverse of a division is then multiplication. We have found out that we usually get the answer of a division using the multiplication or this method. So make sure the student understand the importance of this multiplication table that you have taught them in the multiplication class. Now the next one, we have 18 chocolates and we have 6 children. So 18 divided by 6. What should be the answer? It should be 3. And which multiplication table the student should use? They will be use the multiplication table of 6. 6 times 1 equals 6. 6 times 2 equals 12. 6 times 3 equals 18. Now here the answer is 3. To get 18, we need to went to 6 times 3. See here again, the divisor is the main thing. Whatever divisor we have, you need to teach it to the students. Whatever divisor you have, you use the multiplication table of that divisor, or whatever answer you have, you use the multiplication table of that answer to get the divisor. For example, if we had 18 divide dash equals 3, here we have the answer 3. We have the answer 3 and we have the total. So what do we get here? What was our divisor? We use the multiplication table of 3. 3 times 1 equals 3, 3 times 2 equals 6, and similarly if we go to 3 times 6 equals 18. So we get the answer 6 here. This is how you teach the reverse version of the division. The next section is calculate divisions vertically. How you could do it? Let's just see. Here, look at this. 2, 8. Here 2 is the divisor. Yes, like this. How you could write this down? You could write this down like this: 8 divided by 2. How you should do it? So your divisor is 2 here and your divisor is 2 here in this case. If you are doing this in this way, then the divisor is this one, or if you are doing it this way, then the divisor is this one. That means then you would use the multiplication table of 2. So how you can find it? 2 times 1 equals 2, 2 times 2 equals 4, 2 times 3 equals 6, 2 times 4 equals 8. So what is the answer we get? We get the answer 4. Both case our answer is 4. This is the vertical version of division. Now in order to do it correctly in the mathematical form, you should do it 2 divided by 8 like this times 4. We get the answer 4 times 2 equals 8. So we have no leftovers. Now if we had a 9 here, we would have a leftover here. We would do that in the later version. Now go to the next section. You are given some examples. Go to the next section. You can see there are some exercises. Yeah, here you would just ask the student to do these exercises to find out whether they have understand this division process perfectly or not. Look at this very first one. 8 divides by 2. What should be the answer? The answer should be 4. Now what is the divisor here? The divisor is 2. So which multiplication table the student would use? They would use the multiplication table of 2. That means they would get the answer like this: 2 times 1 equals 2, 2 times 2 equals 4, 2 times 3 equals 6, 2 times 4 equals 8. So we have the total 8 here. That means the answer is 4. Similarly, go to this one, like 64 divided by 8. Yeah, 64 divides by 8 and it would be 8. What is the answer? The answer is 8. How do we get it? Look at this. The divisor here is 8. And what is the total number? It's 64. Which multiplication table the student should use? They would use the multiplication table of 8 like this: 8 times 1 equals 8, 8 times 2 equals 16, 8 times 5 equals 40, 8 times 6 equals 48, 8 times 7 equals 56, 8 times 8 equals 64. Now if the student have memorized the multiplication table, they should be able to do it clearly if they have understood the basic process of doing the division as you have been teaching. Just follow the lecture the way I have showed you. You just transfer this method of teaching into your teaching, or you just incorporate this teaching method into your teaching. And obviously you can use your native tongue to explain it first. That could be pretty much easier for the student to understand these basic functions of division. Now go to the next page. You can see some exercises as well. This is the other form of division that you have I've just showed you. Now how you can do it or how they can solve it. Yeah, ask the student to do it as well. Go to the first example. For example, the 2 divides by 6. What is the divisor here? 2. So which multiplication table the student should use? They would use the multiplication table of 2. 9 divides by 27. Which multiplication table the student would use? The multiplication table of 9. To get 27, what you can do? 9 times 1 equals 9, 9 times 2 equals 18, 9 times 3 equals 27. So answer is 3. And is there any leftover? No, there is no leftover. Once this is done, you go to the next section. Look at this next section. It's still the same thing, but it's a question. If we have 16 strawberries that we want to share equally among 5 children. How many children? We have 5 children. And how many strawberries we have? We have 16 strawberries. How many strawberries each student will get? And the question, look at this question, is saying how many strawberries are left over. That means here, after dividing the strawberries among the children, there would be some leftovers. Now, how we do the maths of leftovers? Let me show you. Follow me. So we have 16 strawberries. How many strawberries? We have 1, 6, 16 strawberries. And we want to divide these strawberries among how many children? We have 5 children. Can we do the division? Yes, but the division procedures should be quite different. Rather using this form, you should use this form of division. So here, so what is the divisor here? The divisor is 5. Then we would use the multiplication table of 5. So 5 times 1 equals 5, 5 times 2 equals 10, and 5 times 3 equals 15. 5 times 4 equals 20. Look at this. If we say 5 times 3, we get 15, and if we get 5 times 4, we say get 20. Now 20 is more than 16 and 15 is less than 16. Now we cannot get 20 here as our total number is 16. So we would take 3 here and we get 15. Now there would be a leftover of 1. This is what is known as leftover. This is how you get the answer and do the leftover related mathematics. Let's just go to the next section. There are some examples given. This one, 5 divides by 2. That means 2 is my divisor and total number is 5. So 5 we can use the multiplication table of 2. Here we get 2 times 2 equals 4 and we have a leftover of 1. Another name of this leftover is remainder. Remainder. So you make sure that the student learn this word remainder. Now the next one. So if we do this one, 16 strawberries, and divide this among 5 children, each student get 3 strawberries and we have a leftover of 1 strawberry. Now look at the next one. 8 divides by 3. If you do this, 8 times 3, we get 2 remainder 2. 3 times 2, 6, and we have 2. We get this like this. 3 by 8, we get this 2, 6 and 2. Now this is how we do it. Make sure the student learn it perfectly. Well, once you are done with all these practices and all these techniques, you just make sure the student have understood it. To do so, you could go for some recap and obviously try to show them using your hand. That means do the maths in the classroom, show them practically, ask them to do it repeatedly. Once they are good enough, once they are proficient enough, once they have understood it, and if it is making sense to them, you just move to the next section. Don't rush here. Make sure this is quite the basic thing. This is the basic mathematics, so you just don't go for a rush teaching here.